such a great tip.
Yeah.
Really great. No, it's really great. That's the best tip that I've heard till now. Really.
Awesome.
You're so kind and so funny. Thank you very much for your time and for your great advice and your great tips. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Hello, awesome afternoon. It's a Saturday afternoon here in Malaysia, and good morning to you if you are somewhere in the Europe, and if you're tuning in from US, I salute you. It's the midnight right now. My name is Cheanu. I am a network marketing coach, and I coach students who do MLM and direct selling and now marketing, how to do it professionally in the new norm. Now, right now, in this moment, where the economy is opening up and we are trying to cope with and live with the pandemic, I do get a lot of questions from my students and my clients, asking how to live with this pandemic if they have kids who are unvaccinated, okay, due to age restrictions or any other complications that they are not eligible for vaccination. So that is the reason why I have this session today to share some of the point of view from the medical point of view on how we can cope with this and live with this together. All right, so I have two, and so today I have two doctors. All right, so for those of you who are watching this live, I am going to bet that you miss your apples for the last 2 days, because the saying says that an apple a day keeps the doctor away. So you didn't take your apple for the last 2 days. So you have these two doctors with you today. We're going to share, and ask them some questions on how to keep our unvaccinated children safe and protected. Okay. So, while they come on, I want you to really give them a warm welcome, type in hello, hit the love button, hit the like button, share this video out to fellow parents, because they're going to share loads and loads of germs and wisdoms that I think we all need to hear from the correct source. Okay, so first of all, right, of course, normally we say ladies first, okay, but this time now, she's a little bit shy, so I'm gonna get the macho man out first, because he's so used to be under the limelight, and doing his macho-ness. That's of course none other than Dr. Aly.
Hello. Hi, thanks for having me, Cheanu.
Yes, Dr. Aly is a regular audience on my show. We do have a podcast that we collaborate. It's the 5 minutes, all right, 5 brainless minutes on
brainless minutes.
Yeah. So we share a lot of tips and a lot of insights from our experience and our observations on networking and leadership and entrepreneurship. It was kind of put on hold for some time because of things are opening up and we have a lot of things to readjust, but we will be back, right?
Yeah, so, we'll be back. That was a fun session though.
Yes, definitely, right? So Dr. Aly, share with us, if you have encountered any incidents, with regard to COVID and children, that you can share with us and to shed some light, for us to understand more of how to take precautions and stuff.
Well, thanks for having me on the show, Cheanu. And well, I want to give some personal experience. So myself, I have been fully vaccinated since early April. And my wife was vaccinated once back in, when was that? That was already in May. She had her first vaccination done. However, despite that, she contracted COVID. So from workplace, and it was not detected for a few days, and she was exposed to the kids. Subsequently, the kids were also COVID positive. So the whole family was COVID positive. That time I was away. So I had to self-isolate. So we've got some experience in terms of dealing with COVID. Fortunately, no one went into category 2 and above. So everyone was just cat 1, very asymptomatic. My wife just had a bit of loss of smell. But but it'll be something to draw upon. So I will come in today with some amount of personal experience in terms of what has happened, what we have been doing, and what are the further precautions that we'll be doing now that sectors are opening up, travels are opening up, even local supermarkets, shopping malls, all are opening up, and what
Yes.
I would generally be doing. And again, it's my point of view mostly, along with, of course, some background medical knowledge.
Okay, I think that will prove to be very valuable sharing because you have two kids. I have one, and all of them are unvaccinated because they're too young. And of course,
Yes.
we also have another guest speaker here, who is a mother of two. We call her mother of two dragons, and that's what she said. Yes, she definitely felt like she was raising two dragons. And we have aesthetic doctor and medical director, Dr. Sarah. So please welcome Dr. Sarah. Who's it's
Whoa,
very
look at
rare
her.
that you see her live on stream. Okay, it's very very rare, to see her
Hi,
on
We
stream.
should
Cheanu.
I think yes,
we should have
Hi,
charged tickets,
Cheanu.
you know.
Hi,
I think
Ellie.
we charged tickets would have made some money out of her.
I think we should. Yeah.
Wow, these two guys are getting a good run on this. Hi, Cheanu. Thanks for having me on your
Hi,
show. And
Sarah.
hi, Ellie. It's been some time
Hi.
since we met. So I have to
Yeah,
finally
yeah,
meet
yeah.
you
Yes,
online.
yes.
Online.
The funny
Hi to
thing is
everyone
this.
who's on as well.
Yeah, the funny thing is this: when I wanted to do this show, because those questions were also my question, because both of us are vaccinated and I have a child who is not vaccinated yet because they're too young. And I say, hey, I think it would be good if I can get doctors to come and share on this. So of course I approached Ali first because we are kind of like regularly doing this, and then I say, I'm going to invite another doctor. I think she can be potential collaboration partner with you, because both of you are in this. He's a hair transplant doctor and you are aesthetic doctor. So when I share with him your name, and he say, she's a close friend. I said, what? You know everybody under the sun. So share with us a little bit, Dr. Sarah. How did you get to know this Dr. Ali? Who is like so many people want to get to know him.
Wow, that goes back a long way. So,
Long way.
Ellie used to work with my husband in, I think, Sungai Buloh Hospital, and so did Ellie's wife.
Yeah.
And then there was this weird similarity that Ellie's Malay and Chinese mix, what would we call that? I'm not sure. And so
Yep.
is his
Yep.
wife. And me and my
Yep.
husband are both Indians, and it's like this
Yep.
weird mixed race couples hanging out. And
Yeah.
both of
Right,
us have children around the same age. So it was a natural friendship. Lah.
right. So both of you,
And
I
we
think,
still
your
collaborate
spouses
at
are
times.
the
Yeah.
epitome of Hari Malaysia.
Yeah. Pretty much. I got all the races there. Already.
Yeah, between the both of us, I think all the
Yeah.
races are covered almost.
So I throw myself into the mix, then we make it like totally balanced.
No, not off balance. Now the Chinese
Yeah,
in the pool
no.
becomes 2.0. Because there's one
No,
full
I'm
Chinese,
I'm
half Chinese, half Chinese.
I'm also mixed.
You mix what?
Oh,
Father mix
Chinese
mother.
mixed with Chinese.
That's why lah. Don't be funny.
All right. Now today we want to like really zoom into this specific scenario where things are opening up, which is good because too long of a lockdown, and I see a lot of my friends, especially business owners, they are really suffering. In fact, actually, the kids are also suffering because they are locked down for too long. They need sunshine, they need to mingle with their friends. But parents of young children, especially unvaccinated children, um, we are in a constant dilemma. On one hand, we can't always be living in fear. We have to move on. We have to learn how to live with this. On the other hand, we don't have much solid information on, okay, how do we actually live with this? Because we get a lot of haphazard information here and there, through the most trusted source called WhatsApp. Everybody has opinion and it's all flying around, and sometimes confusion actually leads to more fear, right? So hopefully we can have an open discussion on this, on how can we really live with this. And I think one of the burning questions is, let's just say now we are bringing our kids out, okay, to dine in. Is it enough to just wear a mask and a face shield, or perhaps double mask and a face shield, or how, or do we have to spray sanitizer around them every 5 minutes? Maybe you can shed some lights there,
All
Dr.
right,
Sarah.
I'll kickstart
Dr.
this.
Ali.
Yeah. So, I think there has been mixed evidence. However, there are more compelling points that shows that actually more so it's the mask that's going to be helping most of the to stop the transmission. So like it or not, the mask has to be on, and I think that's the bare mandatory feel. So if you want to bring the child out, I would say it's almost compulsory that they have to be in a mask. And masks, there are so many types. So of course, the standard is a 3-ply mask, the ones which are like this, as opposed to having just a cloth mask. The pro and con is that of course the cloth masks are very attractive. You can have different cartoons and stuff like that. Pokemon, and will encourage the kids to use it more often. But at the end of the day, I think it's still parenting discipline that your parents need to be the one to show that they are using it most of the time, so the kids will also do it, so that they are on the mask full time. In the face shields, I'm not so sure how much is it going to really help. I think if you can, why not? If you can, why not? However, I think face shield is more relevant to the adult population, or especially to the adult population, mainly because it's really so uncomfortable. I imagine myself, right? If I need to put this on, right? So I'm just going to put it on. Right? I'm going to put it on, and then I need to put another face shield on. As an adult, I'm already so suffocating. It's so suffocating. It's so hot. I can't imagine to think that a child would want to put it on for full time, and it's you sweat.
Unless they want it lah, they feel like they are in Star Wars or what, and they think
unless you manage to encourage them, so you have to draw some characters there perhaps, and maybe look cool. But
that's a good idea.
But I reckon everyone needs to know their child and need to know themselves. And why I say they need to know is because only you would know if yourself or your child has got allergy symptoms. Okay, so some of us, we've got sinus problems, some of us, we've got allergic rhinitis, some of us, we just have allergies. And when you have allergies, you tend to sniff, you tend to sneeze a lot, you tend to cough a lot because of the post-nasal drip. Okay, so if you're going to wear a mask, again, I'm going to do it one more time, and if you're going to cough or if you're going to sneeze, nothing much escapes here. Everything's going to come out from the side. Right, so I think for someone who is going to then wear the face mask or the shield, okay lah. So whatever you cough out that comes out from the side, you breathe it back in for yourself lah. You don't spread it to the next person. I think that's pretty much as fair as it's going to go lah. But if not, so my point is that if you have the symptoms, then I think you should double up.
Right.
You should double up. But if you don't have it, I think to tell the fellow to double up just in case, that's a bit of an overkill in my opinion. So if you have symptoms, I think use it with the face shield, so you prevent the spread to the next person, rather than expect the other fellow to double up just because you have symptoms.
Oh, so basically, wearing face shield is to prevent, the outflow rather than prevent the inflow. It's like it's not protecting, things coming into you. It's actually the other way around.
I would prefer that if you protect the outflow. Because then, okay, let's say in a pool of 10 people and 2 fellas have got coughing symptoms and it's not COVID, it's just your rhinitis symptoms, your allergy symptoms. You shield 2 and the other 8 are protected, rather than this 2 runs around and you ask the other 8 to put on the shield. Because the minority is the one who's having this mild symptoms. So why don't you shield up? At least you protect the outflow, so that the other fellas don't have to worry about the inflow anyway. I don't know. What do you think, Sarah?
Okay.
Yeah, let's pass to you, Adi.
Thanks, Ali. Yeah, I kind of agree with Ali on that. But actually, there's one way around it. Like, I don't know why kids, they have this fascination about glasses. So now the face shield come with these glasses, right? And they actually love putting it on. Although I'm a bit worried because my son is a bit rough. So I'm just worried that it's going to fall and break or something like that. But they have this, the ones that come with little glasses on.
I don't know. I haven't seen it before. Have you, Ali?
No. I have to
we
see
use it in the clinic.
So we gotta ask the ladies
kids,
for
they are
fashion.
really resilient, and they my 1-year-old asks for a mask now. When she goes out, she's pretty comfortable wearing a mask at 1 because she sees all of us do it. So I think the most important thing would be to educate them. The mask is, it's a no-go. We have to go with the mask. I agree totally with Ellie. That's just the first line of protection that we have, and it has to be on. Other than that, the face shield, yeah, if they are okay with it, like you said, you need to know your kids. So some kids, you can talk to them about it, but if they're not going to wear it, I mean, no point forcing them. Then they end up taking it out, taking out the mask as well, and then you're down to nothing and a tantrum. So that will be most important. But I feel like other than the mask and the possibility of a face shield, more importantly would be to educate them. Because when we look back at like with all the information that we're getting, we still go back to the basics. So how do this
Mhm.
virus go? It's by droplets and by,
Mm.
I mean, it can land on surfaces and you can get it from surfaces. So surfaces wise, we might as well educate our kids not to go around touching everything because kids are learning. They are
Yes, yes,
tactile, so
yes.
they want to touch things. That's their natural habit, right? So and
Right.
that's quite an uphill, especially for me. My son touches everything from the lift switch is also an
Yes,
important thing to touch. You know, doors. They want to open the door for you. They want to touch every button. So
yes.
that part of me, that part is a bit of a challenge, and I think the most important part that parents can do is to educate their kids. So maybe make a game out of it, like who touches it first is a loser, or everything is
Ah,
lava, that's acid, don't touch it. It's always a game. Lah.
yeah, the lava,
I
I
think that
remember.
would be. And there was another, the one that I really found very effective was this video I saw online. So you just get a bowl of water and sprinkle pepper in it, and that's supposed to represent the virus or whatever dirt. And then you get your
Mhm.
kid to put his finger in the water, and all this pepper sort of like goes onto his hands. You're like, oh,
Yes,
see,
yes.
these viruses are all over your hand. Then you wash it, and then you get like a dab of soap on the finger, and you do that again. Magically, all the pepper just disperses, right?
Pushed away
And
from
they're
the
like
soap.
so amazed, and they're like, okay, that is the
Yes, I
importance
saw
of
that.
soap. Yeah,
Correct. Yeah.
that blew me away as well.
Yes, that
So
video
I
was
think,
kind of like viral last year, especially among the
yeah,
science teachers. Yes, I saw
right.
that
Because you
video.
can tell them 100 times and he won't remember to wash his hand. But I think something like that, something more visual, and that
Mm.
just that education to like not touch things too much because they love to touch things and then touch their face and adjust the mask,
Yes,
and those are
and they touch your
the
hair
no
after
goes with the
that.
virus. Yep, and then
Hmm.
they come and touch you and touch
Yes,
everyone else around.
yes.
So with
So
the
basically, face shield it's kind of like optional, all right. But face mask definitely. Then one face mask or double face mask. I know adults we are encouraged to put double face mask when we go out, but for some kids that could be very uncomfortable. But what best balance, if vaccinated adult we gotta wear double face mask, and unvaccinated children wear single. I would feel a little bit worried, but what is the medical point of view for that?
Ellie, you
Well,
take
I
it.
think, yeah, I think whether it's single or double, it's still better than none. So step one is always mask up first, and then when masking up, the thing is I've seen with my own eyes, when families go out, let's say for walking activities, um, when they move into a crowd, or if there's a crowd of people, let's say doing activities or exercising together, they're still not masked up because they assume it's open air. I mean, it's okay, but if you could, when there is you're moving through crowds, even though you're allowed to be unmasked in that open space, just put it on for a short while. So I think that is actually more paramount, is that at any point of time there's a potential of an exposure for that short period of time. Just put on the mask and then take it off. I bring my kids for walks, so on weekends. So generally they're unmasked if we're walking because it's not comfortable to go
You
uphill
mean do you
wearing
mean
the
when you're
mask.
walking in a park in an open
Oh no,
area when there's
we
no one crossing your path?
yeah. So, but when
Mm,
someone's about to cross the path, then we don't. I just tell them to mask it
right.
back up just for that short while.
Mm,
So, uh, double masking, I think again is optional. I personally myself, I don't double mask. My wife does, but I don't.
mm,
Um, Contradictory, yeah. But again, it's better to have one than to have none. That's
right.
my principle, lah. But just to touch a little bit on the face shield, because now that Langkawi is open and there will be
Yes.
an implosion of air travel, and similarly, which I thought was quite silly, AirAsia was very proudly telling people that they fully sold out all their flights. Now, I would
Mm,
tell you one thing's for sure, because I have been doing some work travel, but I've been very careful. Airlines are still going to pack you. Okay, let me tell you a fact that when you arrive at the airport, they may segregate you a little bit, but when you queue to check in, it's up to you whether the social distancing is there or not.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, that's number one. Number two, when you reach, as you're going towards the gate, it's fine. But once you go into the gate, the boarding gate is actually a very small area.
Yep.
You're still crowded. Okay, but they
Yes.
still try to separate you. The point that they don't separate you is once you're in the flight. Okay, they do not separate the seats. It's packed
So
from
so
the
you can
front to
actually
the
have
back.
someone sitting next to you.
You are going to have someone sitting next to you. They don't segregate.
Oh.
It's not like okay, so a row has 6 seats, right? It's not like
Not like
yes,
cinema.
no, yes, yes, no, yes, and then the back row will be no, yes, no, no, yes, no, no, no such thing. It's yes, 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 yes. As much as they can
As
pack you, they
usual.
pack you as well. Come on, at 24 ringgit for return flight, right? You think it doesn't make sense for them to cut
Yeah.
down half the
Yeah.
flight, you know?
So
24
probably the
ringgit.
next person sitting next to you would be a positive, and you wouldn't know.
On the bright side is that they do want you to do your PCR test. Okay, but again,
But
at
it
any
might
point of
be
time,
incubation.
correct.
Yeah.
There's still an incubation period because the test would
Yes.
have done 3 to 5 days ago. In the last 1-2 days, you might have been exposed. It might be on your body, but because you're fully vaccinated, you may not even have symptoms, but it's still on you. So, so the potential of you transmitting to the next someone else's kid is there. If you don't transfer to your own kid, it's
Yes.
fine, but you might transfer
Yes.
to someone else's kid. So there's always a risk. So, and once you're on board the flight, like Asia, if you don't buy food, it's great. But if you buy food, the food arrives. And if you're on mask, they're going to serve you food. During the food, they do not segregate time. All food arrives at the same time. Pop! Everyone starts opening up the mask. So you have a whole flight full of people eating at the same time.
A bit scary, huh?
All right, so that's the precaution that I want to tell people who are getting excited to book your flights. If you are going to be very overcautious, you must know this is going to happen. So you must plan ahead. You choose whether you want to have your food. You choose whether you want to mask on, mask off. But know fully well that there will be at least half a flight or more of people who are masking off to eat the food.
Wow.
And because it's a short flight,
Yeah.
so they're not going to take time and say, okay, let's do row 1, makan, row 2, later, row 3, makan, row 4 later. And then later, once all finished, we pick up row 1, then we'll serve row 2. They're not going to do that. They're just going to serve everyone because it's a very short flight. So you are going to be exposed in a very small enclosure for a short period of time with everyone unmasking at the same time, eating food and chit-chatting for a while.
Wow, that's very insightful. This is not something we will hear,
Correct. So because
very common.
I've had to travel for work, so I know, and I have been inside. And even if you're on mask flight, then they still serve you peanuts. So if you got peanut allergy, you're going to start coughing halfway.
Yeah.
So yeah, be very
Nowadays,
careful.
when you have people coughing next to you, you're like, oh no.
Panic.
Correct.
Yes.
So I would say, if coming back to the face shield, the only time I would say that you really want to take face shield more seriously is when you're boarding the flight. So if you're in the flight, you may want to mask up with the face shield. It's super uncomfortable, but at least there's an air conditioning that's coming in. You protect yourself, you protect any entry point, whether it's you going out or out coming in. You may want to consider that. So
Right. Okay,
Yeah,
let's say
talk so
hi
much.
to some of our viewers.
Sarah's gonna talk, man.
We have Amanda here. Hey, hi Amanda. And
Hi, Amanda.
LinkedIn user, I think this is Imran, if I'm not mistaken. 'Cause,
Yeah, it's
his
Imran.
name is
It's
not
Imran.
showing.
Oh, you got an interesting guy,
And
Dinesh Kanesan. Hi, Dinesh.
Of course, we have Dr. Sarah's husband.
That's my
saying
husband.
hi to
Hi,
us.
Dinesh.
Yes. And Jonah is here. And of course, my longtime friend Angie
Hi,
is
Angie.
here as well. Same
Hello.
chapter with Dr. Aly last. Your previous chapter, Aly, right?
Yes.
So yes,
She's
since you
my
mentioned
mentor.
about, whoa, really?
Yeah.
Okay, she's almost everybody's mentor, anyway.
And then again,
So since you mentioned about air condition just now, another question that I get asked a lot: can unvaccinated kids dine in at an air-conditioned restaurant? Again, there are a lot of rumors saying that outdoor better, open air better, air condition. The virus is trapped in an air conduct and all. So medically, how true is that?
Sarah will take this.
Okay,
Yes.
since I've been keeping quiet for too long. Okay. Right now, personally, I do not bring my kids out to air-conditioned restaurants yet. But moving forward, we have to start living with this condition. It's not going to go away in the next few, like, and not going away anytime soon. So we still might have to go into an air-conditioned restaurant. But I think other SOPs have to come into play. So the ministry will have to have strict SOPs on these restaurants. There are certain like SOP on the ventilation and certain filters and how well are these aircon maintained. Are they working well, enough to keep us ventilated? Right now, I still prefer a al fresco, well ventilated area. More importantly, in the restaurants would be the workers. Are they fully vaccinated? And I mean, like double
Yeah,
vaccine,
that's also another
not just
concern,
single
right?
vaccine. Yeah.
Yep.
So right now, I don't want to say anything to affect any business out there, but personally, I just don't advocate it yet. I mean, we can go as adults, but maybe the kids, because they're still very vulnerable, uh, maybe later.
Yeah, yeah. Because
Yeah.
when we enter as the patron to the restaurant, we got to show that we are vaccinated. Some are asking, then do can we ask the workers to show us whether they're vaccinated? That's not up to us to say. That's why, like
Yeah.
what Dr. Sarah say. Let's have the government spell out more clearer rules so that we are all clear. Onto our part and our risk and all. Right? What do you have to say, Dr. Ali?
Well, I agree. So when it comes to opening up restaurants, I remember because when this was in late August, when the government was already saying that some hotels can open up, and with it also the dining services for those who are double vaccinated. So I remember because I was following one of this restaurant, and all the local people who responded were very happy. They were like, "Yeah, let's meet up. We're gonna meet up with friends, blah blah blah." But all the foreign responders, those who had foreign sounding names, first thing they asked, "How are you going to ensure that your staff are fully vaccinated and I know about it?" I thought that was very interesting because until today, as what Dr. Sarah says, yes, we are fully vaccinated and we can show proof. But are you going to show proof? How do I know they are really
Yes.
fully vaccinated?
Yes.
Are you going to put up the names and their faces so that
Yes.
if you've got 10 staff, I want to see 10 staff's face, and then you put proof of the vaccination cert. You can cancel their name, it's fine, but at least the face and the vaccination record.
Yep.
So in case it's something, if something goes wrong, we know that you are going to have to take responsibility. You either lie through your teeth just to make money, or something. At this point of time, I don't see anyone taking any responsibility to announce.
Yeah.
So that is one of the issues. Second thing is, for me personally, I still probably won't bring my kids out to dine yet, at least not yet. Mainly because it's just open. It has just opened up. Even with the Langkawi travel, personally, I would still think it would have been more interesting if all the fully vaccinated adults just go and gather first.
Yeah.
Don't bring the ones who
Correct.
are possible to get at risk. As
Correct.
much as
Because
we
they're
are
unvaccinated.
because they're unvaccinated. As much as we are itching to do it, and as Dr. Sarah said, no choice, we're gonna have to live with it. But why don't we live with it gradually? We see step 1, what's gonna
Yes.
happen, step 2, what's gonna
Yes.
happen, step 3, what's gonna happen. Because let's say if all fully vaccinated went to Langkawi together with the fully vaccinated staff, and then you mingle, and nothing happened, great. Now we can add the unvaccinated people into the pool. And then let's see what happens in this mingling. But now,
Right.
if you've got the vaccinated adults there, the vaccinated staff there, and then
Children.
you bring the unvaccinated children in, if it blows out, we're going to start another mini cluster all over again. Actually, not really that mini after all. However,
Yeah.
I do applaud that they did try to do swab tests as upon entry into Langkawi. So everyone who goes in has to do a mandatory swab test. And even with that, I think day 1, when Langkawi was open by 1 p.m., 2 p.m., there was already five people who were RTK positive.
Yeah.
So, but RTK again can have false positive. You could be fully vaccinated, had exposure, but you'll still be RTK positive for the next 80 to 90 days anyway. So I would say
when we have unvaccinated children at home, it's definitely wiser and safer for us to just wait for a few more months or to see how things goes. Is that
Oh,
Maybe we
I think,
can.
yeah, I
Sorry.
think
No,
most cycles takes
go
about
ahead.
4 to 6 weeks. Yeah,
4 to 6 weeks?
yeah. Sarah, you saying?
I think maybe we can hold on like the travel and things like that with kids, but we should definitely start getting our kids out there because I think they are
Yes,
going through
yes,
some really
Yes,
mental stress being at home for too long.
correct,
We can start with
correct. They need the
outdoors,
sunshine and they
maybe.
need their
Yeah.
friends. You
So
know,
we go back
um,
to the basics about the virus, like you just need your social distancing. I think
mm,
that should do a lot of help already. But don't
social
keep your kids
distancing
at
and
home too
don't
much.
simply touch surface, right?
Yeah, bring them out, bring them out.
Right. So now, when we talk about surface, okay, there's also another um, worry that's been going on around the layman people who don't have medical knowledge like me. That's why I'm asking the both of you. Can the kids, after they put on their mask and go out there, all right, and once they got back into the car, can they remove their mask? Because you see, that's another theory that's been going around, that hey, the virus could have been still on your shirt, so if you take off the mask, you are still at risk. So some kids are advised to put on the mask as long as they step out from the house, get into the car, go out, come back into the car, get back into the house, take off your clothes, then only take off a mask. you know Again, where is the medical standpoint on this,
Sorry, am I
right?
taking? Okay. You know what's the funny part about kids? They might keep
Mm,
on their mask and their hands will touch everything
yeah,
else and they'll even go into the mask with their hands and that's going to get them the virus rather than
correct,
the mask. So I
correct.
think it's
Or
about the
they'll keep
hands
adjusting the
rather
mask.
than yeah, pulling it down, doing
Yes,
all kinds of things. So more
right.
importantly, just the education back again. They can remove their mask, but I mean they're not going to be spreading the viruses
In the
inside the
car, you mean?
car.
Right.
Yeah, but not to touch too many things and make sure that they sanitize their hands while they're
Mm,
before wherever they leave from. Make sure they sanitize and when they get home, wash
mm,
their hands with soap and water.
mm.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So this one not too
I
concerned lah, the car thing.
yeah, I pretty much agree. There's not much value in not removing your mask if you're in your personal car.
I feel
Mm.
very uncomfortable wearing the mask in the car, so I don't think I don't get
Yeah,
my
the only
kids
time I
to
put
do
it,
that as
the
well.
only time I put it back on is when I see a policeman only.
Oh no!
And that's the only time I want to put it on. Other than that, no, forget it. I'm taking off. It's my car.
But I
It's my
think even
space.
but now the
Mm.
SOP also says that we don't have to wear the mask in the car anymore, right? I think it
Mm.
Yeah,
doesn't make
I think
sense.
correct. It doesn't make sense, and people after some time, like I said, it takes some weeks or months to see certain trends normalize. So
Mm.
the mask now is something that has normalized. Let's say even like social distancing in restaurants, it has normalized to a certain distance. So
Mm.
it takes time to normalize. So my only concern is, of course, even let's say dine in. If you want to dine in for fully vaccinated ones, I think go ahead, go ahead. I think it takes time to normalize, then we see what happens next stop, rather
Oh,
than
thanks, Amanda.
rather than push everyone in and see what happens. But yeah, well, in a car, I'm for taking off the mask. You just relax but
Right.
watch the sanitize, watch your own
Okay.
personal
So
hygiene
as long
also.
as we are out there and we have, strangers walking past, just mask on. If you're walking in a park and there's nobody around you, it's okay to take off the mask, just to breathe in some fresh air because they need it. So basically, we have to apply some common sense as well, on how the virus is spread. If it is zero risk, we can actually do away with it for that short period of time, right?
Yeah.
So, we always say, prevention is better than the cure. So, what are some of the signs that we have to look out for if they are unwell? All right. I mean, if they're just sneezing and coughing, of course, some of us will be paranoid. But what are some of the signs to look out for that triggers us to? I think we have to bring our child to go and test, and so what would be that trigger? Yeah, maybe Dr. Ali can answer this because you have personal experience with that.
Well, I think now at this point of time, again, it falls back on how well you know your kids. So if your
Mm,
kids, again, are the ones who are having frequent allergy symptoms, allergic rhinitis, sinus issue, asthma, um, then it's a bit harder to tell, to be honest. then you pretty much have to wait for something that's a bit more pronounced, or if there's a secondary symptom like fever or headache, then you always suspect until proven otherwise. But if your child generally is well, if you personally as an adult you're quite well, the moment you have any of these symptoms, runny nose, sneezing, coughing, that's going to last you more than just a couple of 1 or 2 hours, I would say just take full precaution. You are positive until proven otherwise. Right? We're not saying that you are positive. I just say you assume you are positive until proven otherwise. You start to isolate yourself first, then you give yourself a day, and then you check, then you get yourself tested as soon as you can. So I would say a few things nowadays, which thankfully the government has stepped in, and I am really grateful for that. Is that I think every house should at least have maybe 2 or 3 test kits, the saliva test kits. After all, it's not really that expensive. It's 19 ringgit. They've kept it to such a low price, so
You
you
can
just
get
have
it
it
from any pharmacies, right?
I believe so. I believe so. Yeah. So if you have just 2 or 3 test kits, it's useful to just have it on a standby. At the same time, have your stock of your Panadols, your flu medication, and as ideally, every home should have at least 2 toilets, whereby in case something happens, you can isolate already. Okay. For this toilet plus the nearest room, this will be the so-called isolation space. So we just wait a day or two, and then you handle them. If it's a young child that's going to be there, then one adult needs to sacrifice themselves to look after with all the masks and everything.
Yeah.
But basically, you're there to isolate. So always, I think, just have a slightly higher precaution until proven otherwise. But at the end of the day, also don't go overboard. Otherwise, every single symptom you want to go and do
Test.
it, which might go a bit overboard, a bit of an overkill.
Yeah.
But this was a
paranoia.
discussion I had with my friend. If you're going to be traveling, it's also a good idea. I think those who went to Langkawi, they were expected to bring their own test kits also.
Yep.
So if you plan to travel, it's, I think, a good practice to just have a couple of test kits on standby in case you reach an entry point and for some reason they say, oh, we want to see you have it, and then you don't have it, you're going to spoil your day. So you might as well just
So the
have
test
one.
kit, you can get the result immediately.
Pretty much.
Oh,
I think
like
15,
like
20
the
minutes.
pregnancy test kit.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly like the
Yeah,
pregnancy test kit.
but don't pee onto it, okay? Don't pee onto it.
Saliva, am I right?
Yeah, saliva.
Yeah, they spit on it.
So
Spit
James
on
is
it.
asking, can
Don't.
swab test done privately DIY?
Swab test done privately, DIY. Yeah. So all the swab tests nowadays are you either go to the government center or you go to a private center. But if it's the DIY, then it will be mainly the
test kit.
what's that? The test kits.
Saliva.
But these test
The
kits are
saliva
not
thing lah.
valid. They're not valid as a report.
Right.
So
yeah.
for
I mean,
example,
it's just for you to stand by.
correct. For you to stand
So
by.
even kids can use that saliva test kit, right?
Correct.
Yes.
These kids, I foresee maybe if they want to be a bit more strict, will be like, okay, you may need to have this test kit to show that you might have to bring along. So you don't do it at home. You do it at home, nobody cares. But I think logically, if I'm running a shopping mall, I would say, okay, Cheanu, Sarah, you need to bring your own test kits for your kids and yourself. When you arrive, there'll be a location there. You do your swab test, everything. You show us the result. Then you're allowed to go in. Enjoy your day.
I think now that's going to be the new norm as well. Like even having get-togethers, having parties. I think we got to be
Yes.
responsible enough to just do it ourselves and just give the host our results. I think it's just something we can do now so that we can like start having get-togethers and things like that safely.
Yeah,
The world has
see,
Especially
changed.
with the kids.
that's what the educated and civilized would do because they learned it. The problem is, the phobia is that there are so many people out there who are ignorant, and some can just be in the public space, pulling down their mask and just smoking away. To me, that should be illegal. But again, I'm not government. They are the one who draw the rules and all. So we have a question here from Dinesh, and I think probably Dr. Ali can take this. He's asking, what is your take on the 2,500 teachers who have yet to be vaccinated? And now that they are talking about schools are going to be reopened soon. So, of course, everybody has an opinion on this, but what's your take on this?
I think when it comes to this, there has to be a bit of stricter policy. Okay, so when we were all working in the government service, the public sector or the director general has to actually make a decision. And that decision will then be the executive order. This executive order, everyone must just follow suit, because it's not a democracy in public service work. You don't get to vote who's going to be the next chief or the chief secretary for the government service. It's not for you to vote. You just follow what they tell you to do. So they need to come up with a policy that says that, okay, I think for the safety of all kids, you need to be vaccinated. If not, there will be other careers that you can look into. And because it's the public service, they can move you around. So you don't have to be a teacher. You can be an administrator. You know,
Right.
you can take on other roles. I think they have to be more strict on that. I still see it as, you as an adult, you're going to be exposed to people or the children who are not vaccinated yet. It's different if the kids are already vaccinated. And then if you so choose not vaccinated, okay, I will still swallow saliva a bit, but at least you are in the midst of people who are vaccinated. Now, if you are the adult in the midst of people who are not vaccinated, then the responsibility should be on you. And if you don't want to do it, means you are not willing to work, then perhaps we can find you a different career. Truth be told, it's very hard to fire someone from the public sector. So if you can't fire them, you need to transfer them, move them around. There are many jobs that is good enough for them to work, which can also be in education. You can shift them around. But if you still want to be in the teaching profession, I still think it should be that kind of responsibility.
Yeah, I agree with Ali. I mean, we adults, we are the role models for these kids. I mean, if we don't get vaccinated, then they will feel that they don't need vaccination as well. It's up to us to, set the ball going. So, like Ali said, if the teachers don't want to get vaccinated, I think relocation would be one of the best ways to deal with this. But whoever's dealing or direct contact with kids have to be vaccinated. There's no two ways about that.
Like childcare operator and nurseries and kindergarten.
Right.
I think that is the crucial ones, and especially like music schools as well, right?
Yeah, I think
I think it's the
dealing
same.
with kids.
Correct.
Yeah,
It's
a
the
herd
same as,
immunity, right?
yeah, it's a herd immunity, and also it's for public safety. It's Sarah, correct me if I'm wrong, but if a doctor is found to be, I think, HIV positive, they are not allowed to do certain procedures or not allowed to see certain area of patient care, especially those that has to deal with possibility of fluid transfer or doing
right.
injections, stuff like that. You may end up being a counselor, which is fine because there'll be minimal contact, but your career options have to change a bit. Is it discrimination? In some ways you can say, but in some ways it's also a bit of a public safety lah. So we're going to take this out of context first, but just to say that if a doctor had HIV positive, and if let's say they were a surgeon, they can't actually practice surgery anymore. They actually have to move away to do other things. They can be a lecturer, they can teach, but they cannot be a practical teacher to show them how to do the op, because you're not sure if you
Close
suddenly had some
proximity.
kind. So there will be
Never know.
viral transfer. Yeah, you never know, one of those small risks might happen. So I think if the doctor can have that kind of risk of losing their preferred choice of career and have to transfer to a different area of medicine, so must the teacher realize that if you're going to be in close contact and you don't want to be vaccinated, it's okay. Then there'll be other areas of the teaching profession that you can be involved in, but maybe just not the one that has a face-to-face contact for the time being, or at least until everyone is herd immunity achieved and we feel that it's safe, then you can be reintegrated again. So it's not canceling your career, we're just moving you about, and when the time is safe, maybe can reintegrate you back into the system again. So we're not discriminating, we're just putting safety first, and later everything else can come back in again.
Right. And since you mentioned the word discrimination, I remember there was quite a huge uproar when we started this new regulation where adults who are fully vaccinated can dine in, and can visit places and can go to shopping malls, and some shopping malls actually put up announcement that only fully vaccinated people can enter our premise. During that time, I remember there was quite an uproar from those who are either unvaccinated or still waiting for their second vaccination, or they can't be vaccinated for some health reasons, and they are screaming discrimination. So I remember you and Dr. Inki had a session speaking about this in the Two Dog Show. Maybe you can shed some lights on what constitutes discrimination and not. In this, I remember you mentioned about the private space and the public space.
Well, I think let's start with discrimination. So people feel that just because if you don't get vaccinated and you're not allowed to go into a private space, it's discriminating against your right. Now,
Yeah.
you have to know the difference between rights and privilege. It is your right to walk out into the public space, into the roads. It's your right because it's a public space. Okay, but if you want to walk into my office, if you want to walk into a hotel, you want to walk into a shopping mall, the moment you cross into their door, that is a private space. Yes, it's a public area, but it's still a private space. So whoever owns the building has the ultimate decision to decide who can walk into my public area, but of a private space. It's like saying if someone came to your house, your room is the ultimate private space. No one can go in. But your hall, your outside toilet is the public area. But it is still in your home enclosure, which is your private space. So
Right.
you can decide who comes into your home first, the gate. Once they're in the gate, then they can move around. But they still need to ask permission if they want to go into your room, or if they want to go into your
Yes.
study room, or if they want to use your personal room toilet. They have to ask your permission. They can't just walk in. If not, it'll be total invasion and you won't like it. So coming back,
Right.
to be vaccinated, if you don't want to be vaccinated, discrimination, if we say you cannot go out at all, you must stay at home, that is discrimination. We have violated your rights. Your right is to actually go out. Your right is to walk along the road. All right. Your right is to walk along the pavement. But once you go into a space that is deemed as a public area, a private space, they can call the shots. They can say, if you're not double vaccinated, we may have to delay your entry in a nice way,
Right.
or we are going to refuse your entry in a very harsh way. One way or the other, you're not allowed to go in. But you must accept that. It's not discrimination. It's just the rules that they have set. It's your option not to have a passport. But if you want to travel to Singapore, they need your passport. But you can say, I don't want a passport. I don't want. Can. Have fun around Malaysia. If you manage to find a way
So
to
they can
sneak
go
in.
to public places like parks and the beach, or maybe on the roadside.
But if you want to dine in,
But
if
they
you want to go
can't
into a
enter the
mall,
premise.
you can't enter into the premise. All right. And then again, one must know what are the essential things in life. So technically, going to a mall, dining out is not essential. It's a luxury.
Yes. Yes.
It's a luxury. Don't forget that. We always forget. We think those are essentials. No.
For
in
some
lifestyle,
people, those are essential.
yeah. But it's a luxury. It's a luxury to go to a mall. It's a luxury to go shopping. It's a luxury to buy groceries. Okay, to enter those space. But at least groceries, they still say that it's partially essential. So even if you're single vaccinated or previously not vaccinated, but if you're masked up, they still allow you to go in. But beyond that, going to a boutique, going into a dining space, those are luxury. So it is non-essential. Okay, and again, are kids really essential to go out to dine out? Again, it's not essential. It's nice to have. It's fun to have. It's a luxury to have. Do I need my father, mother to go and buy the grocery? Technically, no. I should be doing it for them. Again, it's a luxury. So I don't see it as a discrimination. So for those who opt not to do it, that's your choice. But for those, as you said, there are some who are not eligible to do it because they are in the extreme of age. Then we must adjust our life a little bit. And sometimes I think because this is still quite fresh, it's less than 2 years. Some of these pandemic diseases may take a few years to really, really normalize. So perhaps eventually, somewhere down the line, everyone will be allowed to go in all over again. It's just not today, not in the next few months or weeks. But you have to wait.
Personally, I still don't dare to bring my kids to the mall. Not just not bringing her. Even myself, I would be reluctant to go in because when I come home, she's at home. So we try to do all these groceries online, and if I must, I have to just go like really quickly without when there's no crowd, grab stuff, go go back home. So I think that's how we gotta adjust our lifestyle, because safety first, right? I think the most important is safety first.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
You're right. You're right.
So yeah,
Agreed.
especially for Dr. Sarah, she has the very very young toddler at home. I'm sure there's a lot of concern. For each action. Whether should I go there, should I not? How about this? Getting things online or dine in. So there's so many things. Unlike my friends who the married couples, they are both vaccinated. They don't have kids. They don't live with their elderly parents. They are free to go everywhere. So sometimes they kind of like taunts me and say, hey, we can dine out, you cannot. But yeah, I mean, that's the fun of it. But we are still taking a lot of precautions because we have unvaccinated children at home, right? And well, there's a question from, I think, it's a very concerned parent. I think it'll be good if we can shed some light. Elisa from YouTube, she's asking, is it safe for primary school children to go back to school if the current active case remain so high? And is it necessary to disinfect their school bag, books, and their stationaries every time they come back from school? So yes, I think this is a very valid question. So Dr. Sarah, what's your take on this?
Okay, I think when we think about going back to school, I have my son who's 8 years old. He went to school for 3 months for standard one, and standard two was another 3 months, and now he's going to be standard three. So we all want to get our kids back to school as well, but I think a lot still has to be done before schools can reopen, and it's not a bad idea to wait a little while and to just wait for things to normalize a little bit and start in stages. So maybe the older kids first, because they're actually already opening up vaccinations for 12 and above soon.
12 and above.
Maybe not in Malaysia, but in US and UK, I think they are
Mm.
starting to think about vaccinating 12 and above. So now we are 18 and above. So no harm to go in stages. And when they actually go back to school, we can actually stagger them. So, different entry times, different going out time, as long as we maintain the basics of physical distancing and then the masks. These are the two ways that the virus spreads. So if we can maintain that, the problem now is there's too many kids and at the same time in school.
Yes.
So there are a lot of SOPs that have to be taken
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
measure by the schools, and then we can start about school. But about disinfecting their school bag, books, and stationaries, well, actually, it depends again. Your own kid is the one who's going to be touching the bags, I mean, the books and their stationery. So I don't think it's necessary to disinfect. But the school bag, yes, even my son still goes to daycare, even during this pandemic, because both of us work. And his daycare makes it a point to disinfect their school bags every time they go in and come back out.
Yeah.
So I
I
think
think
it's a
school
good
bag is a
idea,
must
like
because
school
it's
bag,
exposed.
yeah, no problem. Book stationaries, it boils back again to our education towards our kids. So we tell them you're not supposed to share your stationaries with other people. Don't, that kind of
Mm.
thing. That's more important. So it always boils down to the basics of how is this virus going to get on these items. If you think that there's a risk, like a school bag, everybody's touching it, everybody's like near it, then yes,
Yes.
disinfect. But book stationaries, I think it's a bit too much
Inside the
work.
bag.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's fine.
Yeah. Now in my home, we have this spray gun that we attach the sanitizer. So every time I go out and do groceries and come back, my wife will shoot me, the whole body. Psst. So it's like I never thought that there would be a time where I go out and do groceries and come back, my wife will shoot me with a gun. That's basically what's happened every day now. So and my daughter enjoys seeing that because the mom is like shooting me with a spray gun. And I think those are some of the precautions that we can take, especially when we're living with unvaccinated children, right?
Yeah.
And I think, Dr. Ali, your kids are also around the same age like Dr. Sarah, right?
Yeah, yeah. Doesn't differ very far. So yeah, I agree. So when it comes to active cases, it's a bit tricky because like I think currently the active cases is still almost about 200K that's going on. However, most are in Cat 1, Cat 2. And again, the ones whereby they are already reported, generally these are the cases whereby they have been reported and they are compliant. They're sitting at home actually. They're doing their own self-quarantines. But there will always be some whereby it goes unreported. We eventually need to to reintegrate back eventually. So being overcautious also will really slow things down. One of the biggest problem is, of course, with parents and kids. If the school doesn't restart, it's hard for work to restart.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So
Right.
not everyone will have the luxury of being able to keep one parent at home. So if both needs to work, then eventually school is where they spend a couple of hours for you to get your work done. Then you at least can get them back home. So so I can see the slight rush why they're trying to get schools to restart as soon as possible, so that work life can go back to as near normal as possible. But it will be great to see a more staggered one, whereby certain classes, whereby it's important to be there physically. Like for example, if you're doing lab works, it's hard to have all your lab stuff at home and conduct experiments, or if there's something that needs to fine tune your motor skills or interaction skills, then
Yes.
I think should be there. But if certain things that can be taught out of it, maybe it's still all right. All right, I would say, for example, basic maths. You don't really need to be there. You're not going to hold a kid's hand. You should 2 + 2 is what? Yeah, I don't really need that.
Yeah.
But because it's a bit more, you can still learn through that. But if
Yes.
it's certain things like you need to do, let's say, artwork or physical therapy, or if
Physiotherapy.
no, I mean like PE, things like that. Maybe it's a bit more tricky. So you might want to be able to see and monitor, engage. So hopefully there will be a bit more staggered ones. But I
Right.
agree, it should do in stages, and at least number one, the teachers should still be vaccinated. Number two, if they can start, let's say, with the upper secondary, at least let the upper secondary start first. I would say about 15, 16, 17 should be the ones who will start with the vaccination and get them back into school, because they are the most important ones. They're sitting for public exams that will then determine the future. Being away
Yeah.
and doing online classes and then sitting for exams, and
Yeah.
when they announced last year's SPM result and said it was one of the highest passing rate, I have to have one big query. If you're not going to school and you're having very high passing rate, then why are we going to school in the first place?
Yeah. That's the funny thing.
Unless you've tilted the graph a little bit just to compensate for everyone. That mean that batch are not really that smart, but they were
Yeah.
compensated. So it's I've got my own question marks. So
Yes.
if you're going to set a standard, pass or fail, then you really need to set the standard that it's going to be a pass or fail. You don't compensate by saying, let's cut some slack, the not so bright one. Let's change the graph. The passing mark is now 25 rather than
Change the goalpost.
Yeah, we change the goalpost. We make it bigger for you to shoot in. We make it
Yes.
higher, and we say if you miss by even 1 inch, it's still a goal.
Yes.
We can't do that. So it doesn't make sense. So I would say those who are going to be sitting for entry exams, prepping them for university, I think it's crucial to start getting that on. In fact, we pay so much attention to that, but universities they haven't come up with even better SOPs yet for universities. University is still one big question mark. So I do hope to see much more inclusion criteria, or get the upper secondary kids vaccinated. So and do pilot runs. These pilot runs will then be able to determine and say, okay, it seems to be quite stable. And in fact, by then you would have vaccinated another huge population.
I think Dinesh is saying Malaysia Boleh when we are talking about the removing the goalpost. No comments. At least not here in
Secretly-
live.
I'll comment
Secretly
at
as
home.
parents,
I'll comment at home.
secretly as parents, we all hope our kids fall into that segment. Oh,
Yeah.
goalpost bigger, easier.
Yes.
My
We-
kids
we-
straight
we all want
A,
to
even
show
though they
that.
missed the goalpost, it's okay. The paper says straight A. Yay!
Yes. So all in all, after all this education and all these really informative, practical tips, and on summary, what would you advise adults? Because only adults can like really put in the discipline and make decision for the kids as well. How do we live with this from now on? What are some of the precautions, and what are some of the areas that we don't have to be so paranoid? And overall, how do we live with this from now on, especially parents with unvaccinated kids?
Yeah. Okay, I'll take this question.
All
So,
right.
as adults, I think the most important thing now is maintaining our kids' physical health and our kids' mental health. I mean, this is the balance that we are all having to juggle right now. And
Mm,
although our kids are young, so what do we do from now on is, yes, we take all the precautions, we minimize their risk, but don't forget to also keep calm and be a good role model for these kids. So we put on our masks, they are quite comfortable putting on their masks. We get vaccinated, they are also comfortable getting vaccinated. And don't forget that your kids are also going through a lot of stress and anxiety over this issue. Their friends are
yes.
talking about it. My son asked me, when am I going to get vaccinated? No, he's the last person to get vaccinated, but for him to ask me that, he's
He's
also
staying at
worried
home.
about his health. Yeah, he's asking me like, Mom, am I going to get vaccinated? I said, yeah, when it's safe enough for you to get vaccinated, you will get it. Say, but you and dad are okay. You got your vaccinations and you're fine. I said, yeah, so they're testing on
Ah,
kids and you're going to get it soon. But I mean, as an 8-year-old, these questions are actually running through his
yes.
mind. So I just imagine a lot of kids are having this kind of questions. So as adults, I think the best thing is we stay calm. We don't jump over things too much or get too anxious about things so that we can stay well informed for them. So if they have any
Right.
questions or they're anxious about something, address it openly. Be ready to have all their questions answered. I think that would help them a great deal to dealing with this.
Actually, that is a very interesting observation, Dr. Sarah. I mean, because it's not just kids. Even even my dad. Of course, he's not watching this, so I can talk about it. Dr. Aly knows about it. He was quite reluctant to register for the vax initially. Again because of a lot of information that's flying around and stuff. So I asked Dr. Ali, I say, my dad has this concern and I'm not in a medical position to explain to him, so how? So he gave me some pointers and I shared with him and he kind of like, okay, let's see how first. But the moment my wife and I got vaccinated, he registered. So I think it's really about leadership by example, and it's also about setting the permission for them to like take the step, And I think all of us has a role to play in this society that we're living in together, especially in the eyes of the children, right? What do you think, Dr. Ali?
Yeah, so I agree. When it comes to handling it, only we can show the way forward, so that the kids can follow suit. What Dr. Sarah has mentioned, her son asking about being when it's his turn to be vaccinated, basically just shows kids are smarter than we think. We always think that they're
Yes.
small, innocent thing, don't know anything.
Yes.
They'll only know when we tell them. No, they know way
Yep.
much more
Yep.
than you. They
Yep.
just didn't
Yes.
ask
Yes.
you
I
yet.
agree.
In fact, they're afraid to ask you because they're scared you don't have the answer.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Kids are
That's
smart,
true. Yes.
When you ask them something and you cannot answer, then you say, later I tell you. You don't know.
Not
Then they
as
say, no
easy
need
to
later.
lie
I
to
tell
them
you now. The
anymore.
kids will tell you.
Where you find out about this? Where you heard about this? That's our answer, right? And then they're still waiting. Well, I hear from somewhere. And then they're still waiting for your answer. Then you're like, this kind of things you shouldn't know yet. You don't know the answer. Kids are smart. All
Yes.
right. So I would say always be prepared to have the answers. And whether you are going to do or you're not going to do, you better have the answers. Even if you choose to be an anti-vax and you don't want to take the vaccination and you want and your kids ask, you better have a damn good answer for it. Because just because you don't want to be vaccinated doesn't mean your child doesn't want to be vaccinated.
Mm.
Doesn't mean that the child doesn't know what vaccination is all about. The internet is there. The internet is
Right.
there. And you can say, I don't want to let you use the phone. You won't see all this thing. Yeah, but they have to go online classes.
Yes.
I
Yes.
caught my kid.
Right.
I caught my kid. He's having online classes, but he's reading comic
On
books,
YouTube,
so
right?
he can multitask. He's
Yeah
supposed to be
lah.
having classes. He's watching YouTube. He just
Yes.
switch over. The moment I walk in on him, he switch back to his class. I'm like, I caught you. But
Yes. Same
Smart
thing.
kid.
Same thing
yeah,
here.
yeah. But basically, it just shows that you can't withhold information.
You
They
can
will
block
find.
them from information. Yes, correct.
Yeah. And the earlier you share, The earlier you make it inclusive to them, the more you can teach them to filter out what is useful, what is not, what is appropriate, what is not appropriate. They can decide for themselves, but you must set the premise. These are the things that is great or whatever, or these are the information, and discuss openly with them. So the way forward is that I think we need to have a much open communication with kids. I think once they hit 7, 8 years old onwards, they are actually quite cautious. They are very conscious about the world around them already. They may not have full understanding, but they know what's going on. My daughter is 7, standard 1, but she may ask silly questions, but the silliness is because it's the fine details that is not correct. But the general idea is somewhere there one. And if we brush it off,
Yeah.
they're going to get the information from someone else. And that
They are more
information might be wrong.
awakened compared to us during their age.
Correct. One of the I did a podcast before, and we were talking about sex education for girls. Okay, so this will digress a little bit, but basically, it's like saying, if you are a single father, and if you don't want to teach sex education to your daughter, some other guy is going to teach her sex education.
Yes.
Okay, that's a very harsh way of saying, if you don't want to be the one who's teaching COVID information, someone else is going to teach it for you.
Yes.
And the worst part about it is that you will lose the empowerment of being a parent the moment they lose respect for you as a parent. Then they say, you don't know anything, you don't teach me anything, someone else wants to teach me. I'm going to go to that person and learn everything I want, and you are just providing at home. I don't need you. So I would say
it's a harsh reality now.
It's a harsh reality. So kids, if we want to keep them safe, we want to reintegrate them, I think a lot of it is education. We have to talk to them, teach them, and then say what is right, what is wrong. Even to the point whereby if it's dining out, I ask my kids, do you want to dine out? If they say yes, then I'll ask them, how do you think is the safest way? Then after that, I ask them, where do you think is a safe place to go? Eventually, we don't go out because they can't name a place that meets their criteria of safety.
So
I got what I want.
Or in your office.
I got what I want by not bringing them out.
Sneaky
But I
there.
let,
Sneaky.
I let them,
Yeah.
I let them
Sneaky
have the decision. Yeah, but you see, you empower
Yeah.
them to think. You know that they can, they want to. I know they want to. So do I. But where? How to stay safe? Let them answer everything. And where do you think is the safest place to go? Then they'll be like, McDonald's. Oh wait, McDonald's don't have this, don't have that. Okay, let's go to the other place. Oh, but they also don't have this, don't have that. Then they'll be like, I think maybe for now let's just order in, or let's cook at home. All right, that's a good decision.
Now they feel like they are the one making the decision or part of it.
Be part of it. Be part of it. I think kids know a lot more than we give them credit for. They are the ones who can decide. And if they step out of line, that's where we rope them back in. But we just give them the opportunity to decide. But we need to lead them, guide them with the questions to get the answer that actually we want.
Right.
All right. So parents with unvaccinated children, what I learned today is don't have to be overly paranoid. Learn how the virus spreads and how to avoid them, and slowly integrate our life because we got to live with this, probably for the next few years, or maybe more. Okay. So I just want to do a shout out for Dr. Sarah here, and if you are,
what's that? Modeling agency.
Yeah, that's her website. All right. So it's Dr. D, right? drdclinic.com. All right. /VCard, and you can get the contact details on how to get in touch. What are some of the services that you provide, Dr. Sarah? Maybe you can explain here what are some of the services that people come to you for.
Sure. So, Dr. D Clinic is actually an aesthetic clinic that is run by me and my husband, Dinesh, the one who's been commenting here.
Yes.
So there we do more of like aesthetic services, laser, Botox, fillers, that kind of thing. We also treat skin issues like acne, eczema, things like that. The other entity is iBody by Dr. D, which is more of a wellness center where I do mostly we focus on postpartum well-being. So getting back into shape after deliveries, dealing with issues like pelvic floor weaknesses or diastasis recti, which is a separation of the abdominal muscles after cesarean section. These are the medical issues that we deal with at iBody at Dr. T,
Oh,
all non-invasively.
In case
very,
cannot,
very, very niche.
yeah. In case you can't hold urine and you find yourself peeing, uncontrollably at night, you need to do one of this treatment.
Really.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It happens.
In
It's
case,
not. It's not
That
so.
would be so
It's
sad.
not only old
uh,
people.
it's not a laughing matter. Imagine, it's quite embarrassing. You check into a hotel, you wake up, got a pool of puddle there.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah,
it happens. Happens.
yeah. So most of your clients, um, women, right, Dr. Sarah?
Oh, you'll be surprised because we are both husband and wife team,
Oh.
so we've got actually quite a lot of men as well. So my
Mm.
focus is more into post delivery, so issues post delivery like the incontinence and other issues
Mm.
post delivery. But my husband also sees a lot of male patients as well. So we're getting quite a balance these days. It's no longer beauty just for women kind of thing. It's not about beauty
Mm.
actually. It's more about feeling good about yourself, making like having your best face forward kind of thing,
Right. Okay.
especially in
So
today's Zoom world.
right. So do get in touch with Dr. Sarah. For um, what she mentioned just now, and if you know someone who need that, you know where who to call, and of course we have Dr. Ali. All right. His website is this HTS Clinic.com. It stands for Hair Transplant Solutions. Okay. So
Yes, it
hair
is.
transplant, it's really a very interesting niche. Can you shed some light on who
Yeah.
might need this and why?
Well, generally it will affect both male and females, but men being the ones who would have hair loss more often. Almost 1 in 5 men will go through hair loss sometime in their life. So basically, what I do is I help to diagnose if there's kind of a early hair loss, what to do, what kind of shampoo to use, how often to shampoo. If you need any kind of nutrition, medication, I would be there to help you optimize it. And if all else fail and you still want to do something a bit more definitive, then we will do a hair transplant, which basically is we remove the hair follicles from the back of your head and we replant them to the front. So notable people who have done hair transplants will be footballers like Wayne Rooney, David Beckham has done a little bit. Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks, you can actually see the evolution of his hair loss in Angels and Demon and Inferno. He's got a lot more hair as opposed to Castaway as early as that.
Oh.
Sylvester Stallone has also done. So you can see quite a lot of people who've got it done to retain their youthful look. You'll be surprised. Having just a slight different hairline can change the years and also your own confidence. We do see currently the ones which are undergoing transplants will be those who are in their early careers and also those whereby they've got late teenage to early 20s kids.
Wow,
So
so young.
yeah. No. The adult, let's say the father who's got a late teenage child
Okay.
or early
So
20s
I'm
child.
entering that already. Ish.
Well, your child already, what, 18, 19?
No lah, she's about to be 11. But
Ah,
last month there was a parcel delivery,
hmm,
and I thought it was for me. It wasn't, and I thought it was food, but we didn't order food. So my wife thought it
hmm,
was her Shopee thing, but she didn't order anything. A boy sent chocolate to her.
hmm, hmm.
And I was like, okay, that was the moment I realized, okay, I think she's growing up.
So I know what you did. You posted on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, everywhere just to tell the boy, I'm watching you.
I actually posted on Facebook because the boy's mom was my Facebook friend, and she saw. So yeah, that's what we are where we are living in, and I really thank both of you for your insights, for really taking time to share with us. If you guys are still watching all the way until now, type thank you. Really get in touch with Dr. Ali or Dr. Sarah if you have more information that you need to know about this, because I think when we are educated, when we are prepared, it's easier for us to live with this together, because like you say, we're going to live with this for quite some time. All right, so thank you so much. In fact, um, Dr. Sarah is not really active on social media, and I think this is her first live stream across 3 channels. It's actually this is streamed across Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So it's very rare for you to get to see this. Okay, so please do go to that page and give them a like. And yep, any other parting advice that you have for our audience today, Dr. Ali and Dr. Sarah?
Get
Thanks,
yourself
Cheanu, for
vaccinated.
the yeah. Get vaccinated, and also if you have any, if you want to look for information, go to reliable sources. I mean, all those WhatsApp messages. I think our elderly parents now just getting used to WhatsApp, are getting all kinds of ridiculous news
Yes.
and information. So please get the information for them. Like go to like WHO. This kind of very reputable sources. Even our Ministry of Health has come up with some reputable sources. And even WHO has very nice videos for kids to watch, all very
Oh,
age appropriate. Yep, just simple things: how to wash your hand, what to do, what not to do. I think like sometimes we don't realize how to go down to that level, and people have done this already. So
we see
just
your fan, your raving fan here.
why the black
Oh,
heart?
that's for me. He's saying enough
How do you know
already.
that's not for me?
I come back see your patients now.
Okay. All right.
Thank you so much,
So,
Cheanu, for
right,
having
Thank
thanks,
you
me.
Cheanu.
so
Thanks for
much,
having
Dr.
us.
Sarah and Dr. Ali. Let's meet again soon, and let's hope everybody stay safe, so that
Yeah.
when everything opens up, when we meet again, nobody's missing. I really miss hanging out with my friends, but gotta do it responsibly. And really, really thank your insights, both of you. And I think most of our audience here today got a lot of new knowledge from reliable source, so they can better prepare their life on how to move on from here. Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon. Right.
All right.
So thank
Right.
you, guys. All right. I'll
All
see
right.
you
Have a good
again
weekend.
next week.
Bye.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.
Lifestyle's not about money. It's about 2 things: creativity and caring. It doesn't take money, it just takes a little creativity to think about those you love and think what would light them up. It will light you up more than anything else, I promise you. To surprise them, to do beautiful, special things, little things. It makes people feel important, needed, loved, appreciated. What better way to invest than invest in your relationships with those you love? And you can't give joy to everybody else that you love without giving joy to yourself. And then there's another kind. The other kind is where you invest in those you don't even know. Not for stars on your chart, because you know it's right. It can be done with such a small amount of money. It's not money, it's creativity and caring. Maybe it's animals that are abused. Maybe it's old folks that people don't pay attention to anymore. Maybe it's providing one surgery for someone who has lost sight and can see again. Provide water for a family.
We found a couple in Mesa determined to make sure kids who need school lunches still have something to eat.
There's other people helping, but you can never do too much.
And in Minnesota, a strict no visitation policy at this retirement home hasn't stopped Charlie Johnson from seeing his 88-year-old father, albeit through a window.
We want to go out and bring these essential items to their doors, just leave it right there, no contact at all.
They prepare dozens of bagged lunches to give away.
I stayed back and we made 300 lunches.
And I thought I could help out by sewing masks, and I wanted to help as much as I can.
If you got $1 billion and you're unhappy, you're poor. You got no money, but you enjoy and you give and you're grateful what you have and you'll share what you have, you're rich.